Hi, welcome to VQ Book 1, Lesson 4. Let's start with the word abstract. Abstract noun. The definition of abstract is theoretical or difficult to understand, right? So we talk about an abstract noun in grammar and also as opposed to concrete nouns. Abstract nouns are the nouns for ideas, concepts that we cannot really touch or feel. These are just ideas like love and peace and justice, and they are nouns, but they're not things that are physical. Physical things are called concrete nouns. So words like car, dog, or concrete itself is something that we can touch and see, and these are concrete things. So we also talk about abstract art, and that's what we see in the picture here. It seems like just a lot of colors and lines, but some people see meaning in it. Some people see something profound in it, and that's called abstract art. There is one other definition, the abstract of a report we hear about, and it means a short summary. So that's a very different definition, but something you might come across later. Well, you might write say a 50-page report on something and add about paragraph or two at the very beginning as a summary of the entire report, and that's called the abstract of a report. Authoritarian. Authoritarian government. This means exercising total control or ruling by the authority of whatever the government, the power the government has. Then that dictator is called an authoritarian, and the government is called an authoritarian government. So generally, these are the other words that we think of when we think of something like North Korea and their leaders. We call them dictatorships, right? It is a totalitarian government, something you hear about when you read George Orwell's 1984 or Animal Farm. Those are stories of totalitarian governments. Or autocratic is another word that means something like a dictatorship, an authoritarian government. And of course, tyranny, rule by tyrants. And that's another word for a bad dictator. Cynical, a cynical writer. A cynical person is distrustful of human motives, and that person will be called a cynic. That's the person. So the reason we say cynical writer is that traditionally there was this impression that people who write, as in authors of books or political books or journalists for newspapers, they tend to know a lot of things about the world, and they read a lot and they know a lot, they think a lot, and so they end up learning a lot about all the the evils of the world and the corrupt politicians and things like that, and they end up not trusting anybody. And that's what a cynical writer is. When they write, they're cynical about the whole world. So we might find a sentence like this: the more he learned about politics, the more cynical he became. All right, so the more you know, the less you trust people. Edify. Edify the church members, and that is to instruct or correct morally. And generally, we're talking about someone like teachers, preachers, or parents, people who are supposed to teach you good morals, how to live your life properly. So, to edify the church members, we're thinking of a minister at church who gives sermons on Sunday, and most of those sermons are very practical advice on how you can live better. And he's trying to edify the church members to live more ethically, more morally. The noun for edify is edification. Feasible, feasible plan. A feasible plan is practical, workable, or it's likely in the sense that we are able to do it. So we would ask, is that really a feasible plan? Is that something we can do? Is it realistic? Is it really doable? Is it possible? Can this really happen? And that would be a feasible plan. Inconsequential, inconsequential to the result, which means that it is insignificant and unimportant, like the spelling error that you might make on a report that you write. If you made an obvious little spelling error, it's probably not going to cost you the grade or anything. So the breakdown of the word is in and consequence. In here means not, and consequence is the result, right? So it means it does not affect the consequence, the final result of whatever it is that we're trying to accomplish. Consequential will be the opposite. If some event is consequential, then it is important to the result. But here we're talking about something inconsequential to the result, so it is not important to the result. Malicious. Cinderella's malicious sisters. And that is, of course, the two hateful and spiteful sisters. They're just the archetypal symbols of meanness, cruelness, right? So the breakdown here is mal, which means bad, and that's an important one. So we get words like malevolent, malediction, malefactor. These are other words that uses mal. Means bad in each word. If you are malevolent, you are wishing bad on other people. That's the opposite of benevolent. Benevolent is like the magnanimous priest we saw earlier. Benevolent means wishing good on people. Malevolent, wishing bad. Malediction is saying bad in the sense that you're saying a curse to them. Like go to hell is a curse in the sense you're cursing them or giving a spell of curse to them, and that's a malediction. Opposite of benediction, which is a blessing. Malefactor as opposed to benefactor. Benefactor does good things, malefactor does bad things. So mal is a root that you'll see often in these other big words, so please commit it to memory. Philanthropist, donation by the philanthropist. And so a philanthropist is the lover of mankind, one who gives large donations. And we say lover of mankind because of the roots of the word. Philos means love, and anthropos means mankind. And so the word itself says it's a person who loves mankind. Now, if I love the mankind and love everybody, I don't become a philanthropist, though. No one's going to call me a philanthropist. You have to be someone like Bill Gates. You have to have millions and billions of dollars, and you have to donate a large sum of money in order to be called a philanthropist. So, yes, nowadays it only has to do with money, giving of money. Related word is misanthrope. Mis means to hate, which is the opposite of philo. So a misanthrope is someone who hates mankind. Philosophy has the same root as philanthropist, because the philo there is love, and someone who studies philosophy is someone who philo loves, sopho, wisdom. So Socrates and Plato were people who loved wisdom. We also have the word Philadelphia, which is the city of brotherly love. Phil for love and adelpho for brother. And you might hear words like audiophile, where the phile comes at the end of the word. That means a lover of. So an audiophile is someone who loves great audio, sounds and music, or sound equipment, things like that. That's an audiophile. If you're an Anglophile, you love England. If you're a Sinophile, you love China, and so on. Replete. Replete with books. Replete means you are abundantly filled with something. And of course, replete with books, we're talking about a library. A library is always replete with books by definition. So we might say a sentence like this: the library is replete with books on eclectic subjects, right? We learned that word, eclectic research, a lot of disparate sources. Other usage might be someone telling you that your report is replete with errors. Your report has too many errors in it. It's full of errors. Or you might read a story and the teacher might explain how the story is replete with ironies. There are lots of ironies filled in, taking up within the story. Succinct. Succinct answer. Succinct answer is very brief, terse and compact, which means that it's very compact and precise without wasted words. So you're not giving a, 100-word answer to a short, simple question. You just say yes, no, maybe, or you just give a very short explanation in minimal words. So dictionaries will give you succinct definitions of words, right? You might say that he gave a succinct presentation, a very short presentation, but very full of meaning. Thanks for watching. The website is vqworkbook.com.